Good evening to all the participants present here. Goyal Brothers Prakashan would like to welcome you all. We'll start the webinar in next 2 minutes. We are just waiting for a few more participants. Welcome, ma'am. You're ready?
Hello, everyone. Very good evening to everyone. First of all, I would really like to say to all of you that all of you have been amazing. The fact that, you actually put it into practice, the line that we keep on saying, that life is a learning process. Ever since the pandemic, the way you adapted to new technology, to online teaching, learning the various different tools, getting online, PDFs, screen sharing, exams, assessments, everything online. I think all of you deserve a loud round of applause for that. Truly, life is a learning process, and it becomes even better when we are open to learning new things. We did not want to stop the learning from happening, and therefore we adapted to the new changes. It was difficult at first. There were loads of hurdles, but then yes, we said that the show must go on. And that's exactly what we did. Now, in all this, our syllabus also came under review, and there were loads of changes. We've already had a term 1 in English, and the webinar, or this, of course, is a webinar on latest changes in CBSE Sample Paper for term 2 exams, which will be held in the month of March 2022. And before I proceed, I would like to once again congratulate all of you for leading the way, for showing the way to the children so that, they can become true humanitarians and global citizens. So with that, I would like to have attitudes of gratitude for Goyal Brothers Prakashan for having organized this webinar, Mr. Divakar, Mr. Jitin, and the entire team. Thank you so much. A heartfelt thank you. I think it's wonderful that you're arranging these webinars for everyone to share, to understand, to know that, they don't get lost somewhere. So very good. Thank you so much for that. And I am Alka Mahajan. It's been 3 decades in education now, in leadership roles and in administrative roles, DAV, Delhi Public School. And not only the fact that I'm an English educator and English expert, but I'm also a psychotherapist. I'm a communication and leadership coach. I'm a radio and a television presenter. I'm an international speaker, host, and moderator, and a Toastmaster. And I also organize international conferences online. So with that, once again, a big thank you to the organizers, and thank you so much to everyone, each and everyone, for joining in today. Now, coming to our topic, let's begin. Let's take a deep breath. I think that is very important, a couple of deep breaths, so that we will learn something new. So let me now start. So this is a webinar on the latest changes in CBSE for term 2 exams. And what exactly are we going to be talking about today? What is in the second term according to the bifurcated syllabus, discussing the types of questions, the format, and the finer details. How do we as teachers, as educators, help our students prepare for the upcoming second term exams? These are some of the things that we will be discussing. Now, as per the bifurcated syllabus, the second term or the second semester has 3 sections. And this is similar to your term 1. There was no difference here. Reading, writing to section B, and the third one, section C, is literature. Now, if we look at the split, so CBSE has split the syllabus into half for the academic year 2021-2022. So you've already had your exams in the month of November, and term 1 is gone. Now, the major difference, the weightage, the sections and the weightage is the same. Reading, 10 marks. Writing, grammar, 10 marks. Literature, 20 marks. The total being 40 marks. Of course, 10 marks is for schools to have their internal assessments, which makes the grand total to be 50 marks. Now, this all was there in term 1 as well. However, the details of the second term specimen paper, if I share this with you, the time allowed for term 1 exam was 1.5 hours, but in term 2, it is 2 hours. The maximum marks are the same, it's 40 marks. The questions need to be attempted based on specific instructions for each. So it's not every section or every question, there would be some specific instruction attached to it. So I think it would be worthwhile for all of us as English teachers, English educators, to sort of tell our students, to share with our students that they need to be doing a good job at reading the question paper. That's something which is ignored. They just, want to just start writing. But I think it's very important that they read everything so that they do not misunderstand, what actually is required for them to write. Now, the term 2 exam 2022 will be held in a subjective type pattern. So the term 1 exam was all about MCQs, but this time we will have a subjective type. Of course, the answers will not be very long. We would have to adhere to word limits. So there would be word limits which will be given, and it is a good idea to share with the students right from the beginning that these are the word limits, and they should be writing as per that. Because what happens is sometimes when they know too much about something, they tend to get carried away and they use different words, different vocabulary for saying the same thing again and again. And this practice needs to be described. Now, if I look at the next one, the pattern of the specimen paper. So the first one, we have section A. Now, section A, this is similar to what we did in term 1. So it's about reading. This is for 10 marks. There will be two passages to assess the inference, evaluation, vocabulary, analysis, and interpretation. Now, the first passage would be for 5 marks. That would be a discursive passage, and the word limit, it would have about 400 to 450 words. So that is the first one. Now, in the discursive passage, it's a discursive mode. After they read the passage, I'm sure you all have shared your, shared with the students how they're supposed to be attempting this section of the English paper, because this is the most neglected and taken for granted section. But of course, when I share some tips with you, I will tell you how this section, how you should be telling your students to, actually work on this section. So there, after this passage, there will be 6 questions. 6 questions will be given to them, which will have everything, which will have a word attack. So they have to look around for the vocabulary from the passage. There will be something to, list. The questions will be 6, but they will have to do only 5 of them. So they have an option of doing only 5 questions. So that is for the first passage. The second passage, which is again for 5 marks, is based on a case study. So it's based on a case study passage, a case study factual passage. So it would have visual inputs, it would have statistical data, it would have some charts, it would have maybe some tables, some tabular format, and they would have to, based on the information given to them, they would have to read all that. And then again, at the end of the passage, they will get 6 questions. 6 questions, they would not have to do all 6 of them. They will have to do only 5 of them. So each question under both the passages will carry 1 mark. So it's 1 into 5. Question 1, 1 into 5. Question 2, the case study factual passage, again, it would be 1 into 5. So this is, and this passage would be for around 300 to 350 words. So again, they have to be really focused when they're reading it so that they're able to answer the questions that are given.
Now, subscribe to Bright Duty course at ₹1 per day only. Download Bright Duty app from Play Store and get the online courses prepared by competent and experienced teachers for different education boards of classes 6 to 10. Bright Duty courses are available for the subjects of Math, Science, Social Science, English and Hindi in English and Hindi medium. Bright Duty follows 3-step approach, that is learning, assessment and exam preparation. In learning, topic-wise video lectures with explanation of concepts and discussion of textbook examples and questions are available with the solutions. In assessment, topic-wise online MCQ test, practice assignments and chapter-wise question bank are available with the solutions. In exam preparation, previous year's question papers, sample papers and model test papers are available with the solutions. Sign up today on Bright Tuesday and avail your courses at affordable prices.
I might as well, I think it's a good idea if I share here itself that, they have to be not, it's actually stated very clearly that the students are not supposed to lift the answers as they are from the passage given, because that will not show their understanding. So that will not show their, competency to frame a sentence, frame a structure. So that will be necessary. They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to lift it. And the answer that they give has to be relevant to the question that has been asked. So that is very important. Then if I look, so this is basically section A, which is the reading part. When I look at the next one, section B, this is writing skills. Now, writing skills, this section is for 5 marks. In this section, they will get formal letter. So formal letter, which would be based on a given situation. It would be a letter of order or a letter of inquiry. Now, earlier when they did term 1, they had a letter to the editor, they had letter of complaint, they had a business letter, but now that is not their syllabus. It's letter of order and letter of inquiry. When they're writing this, again, we have to, as English teachers, keep insisting on the formats. It's very important that the format be, given to the child before we actually start with the main letter. Let the child, give the format to the child, give the layout, tell them the technicalities of writing the letter so that they're following the proper pattern. And yes, this question would be for 5 marks. In fact, they would be given a choice over here. In question 3, they have a choice. So either they attempt a letter, which is either a letter of order or a letter of inquiry, or they attempt an analytical paragraph. Now, this analytical paragraph was not there in term 1. Now it has been introduced in terms, this is not only for grade 10, but this is also for grade 9, 10, 11, and 12, the analytical paragraph. So they have a choice. Either they choose to write the formal letter or they choose the analytical paragraph. When I say analytical paragraph, this would be based on an outline, some chart, some map, some reporting. Now, what is what is different about an analytical paragraph? Analytical paragraph is basically, a form of descriptive writing, which is written on the basis of a given chart. So they have to study the information given. There would be some chart over there. There could be some survey given. A table could be given over there. A graph could be given. Some form of data, outlines, prompts could be given. So based on that information, because that becomes the evidence, they have to write that paragraph. Now, this has to be written with brevity, not more than 100 to 120 words. Now, that is the word limit for section B, which is question number 3 of term 2 English paper, class 10. So they have to, the students of grade 10, they have to choose now. So they can either choose to write an analytical paragraph if they feel well versed to do it, or they can choose to write a letter And the letters that they will get would be based either on a letter of order or a letter of inquiry. So they have to choose between the two things. So one writing skill only for 5 marks. And yes, we have to be very clear that they write precise. There's a lot of clarity, and 3 things have to be taken into consideration. So this is something that we all know about, and it has been there for many years now. We've been giving a lot of importance to these 2-3 things. The first one being content, 2 marks. The next one being expression, 2 marks. And the third one being accuracy, which is 1 mark. Now, when we say content, we should know whether the child is writing as per, whatever is asked. So in the case of an analytical paragraph, whether the child is writing based on the information given, whether it is precise, whether the thoughts are in continuity, all the points are clear, whether he or she has adhered to the word limit, and whether all the pointers have been taken into consideration as per the topic. Now, when we talk of expression, we have to see the way they have, expressed themselves, the kind of vocabulary used, the clarity with which their thoughts are, come across in written form, whether there's a spontaneity, whether there's a particular sequence. All this has to be noted in the expression. So if it's all good, we give them good marks. Obviously, we give them, there's no stopping us from giving the students marks, maybe full marks. But the point is that they have to be very good in all these 3 aspects. And they can become very good. The only thing is English, and especially the current format of English that we've been doing for some years now, of course, with some changes post-COVID, is also, the more they practice, better they become. Now, what happens is the children in these 2 years, because they've been so used to the, doing everything online, that they have actually forgotten the habit of writing. So the more you ask the children to practice, you give them mock tests, you give them passages to do, you give them comprehension passages to do, you give them letters, share the formats with them, and ask them to, sort of practice them and show it to you, so that, you can tell them and you can point out their mistakes, the better they get. Have to be very clear with the content. They have to be clear with the expression, and accuracy, of course, would be the spellings, the punctuation, the grammar. So they have to be very particular about that. So basically, an analytical paragraph is based on outline, chart, cue, maps, and reports, and formal letters, letter of order, letter of inquiry, and they have to choose between one of them. So whatever they're comfortable with, whatever they feel that they're bad, they can attempt that. So that is an option given to the students. So they really don't need to be scared or anything like that. No, they don't need to be terrified at all. Now, when we talk of section B again, which is the grammar part. So first we did the writing part. Now it's the grammar part, which is again in section B. So this would be something like our do as directed based reported speech, and something like, way back in the 90s when I had started out, at least we used to do a lot of editing. So there's a lot of editing that the students doing even till now. And I think that's something which is ideal. Why? Because the students, they make a lot of mistakes. I think when they're writing, sometimes they just eat up the words, or sometimes they write the wrong tense of the words. So they have to, there's a lot of editing questions, and there's a lot of, and based on all these, so it could be tenses, it could be subject verb concord, it could be determiners, it could be reported speech, commands and requests, statements, questions. So this is the grammar that they need to practice for section B, grammar of their term 2 English paper. It's not a tall order at all. Again, I'm insisting that, we need to actually insist, in front of our children, that they need to practice a lot. So that is why the role of sample papers comes in, because maybe they could have a look at some unsolved sample papers first, and then there are always unsolved ones. And the more unsolved question papers they do, the better they get, and chances of getting 90 plus or even a full score, a full century.
Now, subscribe to Bright Duty course at rupees 1 per day only. Download Bright Duty app from Play Store and get the online courses prepared by competent and experienced teachers for different education boards of classes 6 to 10. Bright Duty courses are available for the subjects of Math, Science, Social Science, English and Hindi in English and Hindi medium. Bright Duty follows 3-step approach, that is learning, assessment and exam preparation. In learning, topic-wise video lectures with explanation of concepts and discussion of textbook examples and questions are available with the solutions. In assessment, topic-wise online MCQ test, practice assignments and chapter-wise question bank are available with the solutions. In exam preparation, previous year's question papers, sample papers and model test papers are available with the solutions. Sign up today on Bright Tutor and avail your courses at affordable prices.
Becomes even more, the kids will get it, and we as teachers will feel proud of the fact that our student has actually done it. So I think these all need to be, maybe they can just be each and every form, each and every grammatical form, like tenses, like subject verb, like determiners, reported speech, all of them, they need to be acquainted with them. They need to know about them, whether it's a reported speech or whether it's a statement or questions in interrogative ones. They need to understand and do as directed. That is why in the very beginning, I had mentioned that they have to read the instructions. Whenever there's a question, a new question begins, there would be instructions given over there. They must definitely read the instructions. In fact, before beginning the paper, they must go through the entire paper so they have an idea and they don't miss out on anything. This would be section B. So this would be 5 marks. So 5 marks for the writing and 5 marks for the grammar. And then I'll show you a sample paper so you'll understand how exactly it will be. When we talk about section C, which is literature, this would be 20 marks. We would have questions based on extracts or texts to assess interpretation, inference, extrapolation beyond and across the text. So, here I would insist that all of you must get after your students and tell them that they must at least give all the chapters, and they're not many, 4 from first flight, 4 from the second book, and just 3, poems. They need to just read them thoroughly, which is very, very important, because once they do that, it would be easy to solve these extrapolation questions that they will get. So, and we also know about, questions are generally asked on the basis of revised Bloom's taxonomy. All of you are familiar with that. The questions are formulated as per that. So when we talk about Bloom's taxonomy, we have questions which, sort of cater to all the various stages. So be it the understanding stage, be it the application, be it the analysis, be it the evaluation, and be it the creation stage. So all the questions have been balanced in the term 2 English paper to be asking questions based on Bloom's taxonomy. So if you could just have a look at the kind of questions that are asked in all the stages, it will be very easy for you to, sort of make it clear to the children how they're going to go about it and how to tackle each and every question. So if it's evaluate, if it's list, if it's enumerate, what you understand, if it's compare, how to go about these various questions. Now, as you know, the book First Flight, we have these following chapters only. The others were done with when we did term 1. Now we have these 4 chapters. These 4 chapters are Glimpses of India, Madam Rides the Bus, The Sermon at Banaras, The Proposal, which is a play. So these are the 4 chapters that they must read, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times, but they must give it a reading and they must, jot down notes, especially about characters, because that's where they get confused. I know how children get all nervous. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the characters. So it's imperative that, they just make focus points for all of these chapters, understand that these chapters, the characters of the chapters, if there are any, and if there's a play proposal, you should know, a lot more about each and every character. And maybe there could be a comparing and contrasting kind of a question as well. So when we talk about the poetry section, they have only 3 that they need to be doing in term 2. And I'm sure all of you must have finished with your syllabus by now, or are about to finish with the syllabus, because it would be nice if the month of Feb is devoted to revision, doing lots and lots of sample papers, lots of them, because that's how they become an expert in, sort of handling and doing the question paper, answering it very competently. So Amanda, animals, the tale of Custard, the dragon. So these are the 3 in the poetry section that the students focus without feet. Then we have 4 chapters over here: the making of a scientist, the necklace, the hack driver, and Bholi. So these are the 4 chapters. I think they're pretty interesting chapters. Maybe the making of a scientist would have some facts. And that is why I say it's a good idea if the children read the chapters, make some focus areas and focus points on their own. They're not supposed to be told. Let them do it on their own and let them write it. Once they write it, they get into a habit of writing. Otherwise, it becomes a little difficult. They're, actually attempting the paper. So then this is that. And by the way, so the questions that they will get over here. So question number 6. Question number 6, they would have 6 questions, which will be 2 into 6. Every question would be for 2 marks each. They would get 7 questions from the first book, which is First Flight. They would get 6 questions from that. And it would be, maybe there could be an extract, a line from the text. That is why I say reading the textbook is very essential, because then they'll be able to tackle and handle this question paper, the writing of the question paper, in a much better way. They'll be able to write their answers in a much better way and with more confidence. So they have to write only for 30 to 40 words and not more than that. The question number 6 would be, do any 6 out of the 7 questions given. Do any 6 out of the 7 questions given. This is not like your MCQ, which you did in term 1. This is going to be subjective, like I said earlier. And they will have to do only 6 questions out of the 7 given. And every question would be 2 marks each. So 2 into 6 make it 12. And then the last question, which is question number 7, that would be long questions, which will be testing extrapolation. So their imagination, the way they write, the way they can imagine. So those questions, they have to do 2 out of 3. And in that, they have to write for 120 words. So 3 questions would be given to them in question number 7, 3 questions. And out of the 3 questions, they will have to do only 2. And those 2 questions would be for 4 marks each. So 2 into 4, which makes it 8. So 12 from the question number 6 and question number 7, 8. 12 plus 8 is equal to 20 marks. And again, we have to be, very clear about the content, about expression, about accuracy. That would be very important. Now, how should students maneuver through the paper? Now, I think here the role of time management, this is a skill that we need to teach our students, time management. It's important that they learn to manage. They have 2 hours. Now, 2 hours is not a less for, doing 7 questions. If they have practiced well, if they have done a lot of mock tests, they've attempted a lot of sample papers, it's not going to be difficult for them. And yes, and every child has their own special ability. Maybe someone is more comfortable doing the reading section, so they can begin with the reading section, complete it in maybe 15-20 minutes, go on to the next section, complete it in the next 20-30 minutes, then go on to the next one. And then they get enough time to revise the entire.
Now, subscribe to Bright Duty course at ₹1 per day only. Download Bright Duty app from Play Store and get the online courses prepared by competent and experienced teachers for different education boards of classes 6 to 10. Bright Duty courses are available for the subjects of Math, Science, Social Science, English and Hindi in English and Hindi medium. Bright Duty follows 3-step approach, that is learning, assessment and exam preparation. In learning, topic-wise video lectures with explanation of concepts and discussion of textbook examples and questions are available with the solutions. In assessment, topic-wise online MCQ test, practice assignments and chapter-wise question bank are available with the solutions. In exam preparation, previous year's question papers, sample papers and model test papers are available with the solutions. Sign up today on Bright Tutor and avail your courses at affordable prices.
Paper, and perhaps also, go through their answers. Maybe they would like to add something. Always ask them to leave 1 or 2 lines. They might need to add something to it. They might need to delete something and write something afresh. So give them all sorts of options so that they don't get confused. So they have to have roadmaps in their mind so as to what will be the content. They can manage their time according to a flow chart. So you can share a flow chart with them, something, and you can tell them this much time you devote to reading, 20 minutes you can devote, 20-30 minutes to writing, 20-30 minutes to literature, 1.5 hours gone, and the last half an hour, nicely and with a calm mind, they can go through the entire paper at least twice, adding or deleting as per the need. So very carefully. Then again, the important part is when they're attempting the comprehension passage, please do tell them to read the questions first. That is one major trick. Let them read the questions first and then let them go back to the passage, because that will make it easier, simpler, and they will be able to understand the passage, grasp it quicker, and also be able to, sort of write out the answers to the word attack questions. So they have to find a phrase which has a meaning, which has a similar meaning in the passage. At times it becomes difficult. They waste a lot of time. And another thing is, this is the most neglected section, of the English paper. Students just think that they'll be able to manage because the passage is there and they'll be able to find out the answers and just, lift them and write them. They're not supposed to lift the answers. They're supposed to actually write it in their own words, and it should make sense. It should be relevant to them. So these are simple things, and I'm sure that all of you are working very hard with them. I say practice always makes students perfect, and the students must be given ample practice in all the topics so that they can spot their shortcomings and they can work on it. They should be made to read the newspapers. They should learn one new word every day, so that they can get a knack for, writing flawlessly and smoothly, so that they're not stuck up sometimes in the mind because they are at a for words or they don't know the right word to be used. Because if they're reading a lot and to learn new word games, now there's so many tools these days, and I'm sure all of you are doing that. Those games with the students like Kahoot. Yeah, I think I'll just finish this. I will telling everybody how important vocabulary is for seamless writing, so that there is a continuity in their writing. And they should also improve the neatness and the speed. Of course, the more they write, the more they practice, the better they get. And it's subjective this time, not the MCQs. So I think they really need to practice hard. And, it's a good idea to go have these, a kind of a sample book. I would recommend this. And this is something by the Goyal brothers themselves. Very nice book. And they have a lot of unsolved exercises at the back. So all these unsolved model test papers, there are some solved ones which the students can also have a look at. And there are unsolved ones. So, the more they practice, the better they get. And, they can know there's no stopping them from, getting the wonderful scores and doing brilliantly in English, because English, after all, is a global language. And all these formats that they're learning is something that they will be using in their lives as well. So be it any kind of a writing skill, they will need it. Writing is something that they will need, even when they're on their jobs and everything in life. So, these things that we're teaching them now, reinforcing them, reiterating them, please keep on reinforcing and reiterating the formats. Tell them to learn the formats. Tell them to read the chapters. Tell them to read, understand the various literary devices, the poetic nuances used in all three poetry that is included in the syllabus. So they need to go through all that. Need to know the characters. I think that is very important. And I always say that the secret of success is determined by hard work. It's not there's no shortcut to success. Whatever one may say, but nobody reaches the top without hard work, without determination, without perseverance, without persistence, and strong focus on your goals. If you don't have it's very difficult to get where you actually have to go. So I think this is what we need to teach our students, our young learners, to compromise on hard work. They should never compromise on determination, on dedication. And I will stop my sharing so that, so I see that there are 275 participants. That's nice. And I'm sure they're from all over India. It's good to see friends, fellow educators from all over India. And it's good to see. That is so reassuring. Why? Because you feel that you're not only talking to someone, which is something Black. So thank you so much, Miss Esther. I really appreciate the fact that you have been on video mode throughout. That was really very comforting. Thank you. So this is the book I was talking about. And this is for grade 10. And you have all sample papers. You have whatever I have explained to you just now is all there. And yeah, you can just have a look at the book. So it's all there. Okay, you go to the next page. No, even the next one. So here, like these are all solved sample papers with the answers, So it gives you an idea of all the sections. Believe me, it is not at all, complicated. It's just that from term 1 was all about MCQs. Term 2 is about writing answers, adhering to the word limit. And once we adhere to the students learn the art or learn the knack of adhering to the word limit and writing as per that, they can write a long answer briefly and precisely as well. After all, it was said that brevity is the soul of the wit. And that is what we have to be teaching them. Reading is something which is so important. Reading makes a perfect man, and writing makes an exact man. I think when we instill these habits in our children, in our young learners, they get even better at it. So this is a marking scheme is also given to, maybe we could discuss it at a later stage. If there is some ambiguity, that would call for another webinar, could be done to make it even more clear how to give a breakup of the marks. And if the students have made a lot of mistakes, then how to allot marks, because that is a confusion in the mind. But then again, we need to be very careful that since the syllabus is limited now, we cannot afford to just, throw marks. So we have to be very careful with these nitty gritty and these nuances. That is something that we have to be very careful about. So these are the solved ones. So these are I just want to show you how it looks like, the question paper. So it will give you an idea. Yeah. So for example, this is an unsolved one. So again, like I said, this is section A, which is reading, and you will have 2 passages. The first one is a discursive passage, and the second one would be a case-based factual passage. This would be about 400 to 450 words, and the second passage would be for 300 to 350 words. So there are 6 questions given. Out of the 6, the students have to attempt only 5 questions. Thank you, Mr. Roy de Silva, for keeping the video on. It is so comforting to see faces rather than black screens. Thank you. And what else do we see? So this is basically what I was telling you. Question number 1, reading. Question number 2, the second passage. Question number 3 comes to the writing skill. Question 6 is from your literature, which is for, like I told you.
Now, subscribe to Bright Duty course at ₹1 per day only. Download Bright Duty app from Play Store and get the online courses prepared by competent and experienced teachers for different education boards of classes 6 to 10. Bright Duty courses are available for the subjects of Math, Science, Social Science, English and Hindi in English and Hindi medium. Bright Duty follows 3-step approach, that is learning, assessment and exam preparation. In learning, topic-wise video lectures with explanation of concepts and discussion of textbook examples and questions are available with the solutions. In assessment, topic-wise online MCQ test, practice assignments and chapter-wise question bank are available with the solutions. In exam preparation, previous year's question papers, sample papers and model test papers are available with the solutions. Sign up today on Bright Duty and avail your courses at affordable prices.
2 into 6, which is 6 questions for 2 marks each. And if, as you can see, answer any 6 questions in 30 to 40 words. So even the instructions are given over there so the children don't get confused. They have to write only 30 to 40 words for question number 6. And in case of question number 7, they are to write only 120 words and do only 2 out of the 3 given. So there is a choice and they have enough choice, and the course is not so elaborate, but yes, if they do give a thorough reading and if they've done a lot of mock tests and done a lot of practice, then definitely it will help them finally. So that was it from me. I know it seems that there are loads and loads of things to be done, but as Robert Frost very rightly said that, you know, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. We as educators also need to be learning a whole lot as we move on in our journey, because every day it's a new thing. You never know. There's still a lot of unpredictability and there could be changes. So we have to be ready to accept the changes. As of now, this is what the situation is. Term 2 paper is like this. It's subjective and it has everything very clearly written. And this sample book, if the children, if you all will have this, so this will make your, the teaching learning experience even more better. The practice will be done in a more efficient way, in a more competent way. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for being patient listeners. I hope I was able to, give some clarity on term 2 question paper and the kind of questions format and the book given in this book is done pretty effectively, and it doesn't leave any room for doubt.
Good evening, Alpa ma'am. I just wanted to ask one little question. Earlier in analytical passages, we were focusing on pie charts, line diagrams, bar graphs, etc. But this time we have come up with something like concept chart, which I felt was a little convoluted for me as a teacher also to understand. So could you just throw some light as to how we can undertake that concept with our students?
I think, how to do the analytical passages and analytical paragraphs. I think this would actually call for a different webinar altogether, because you're right, this is a little complicated, as you very rightly put it. And so when, since there's an option given, the children will not even opt for it. But, we as educators need to be sharing the details as to how to do it. So we have to explain to them that we have to break it up into 3 parts. The first one, basically it's like a thesis, and they're basically answering the question, which is a topic sentence. The sentence and the topic is what we're answering. So we have to give information in 3 parts. We begin with an introduction, we have the body of the language, then we have a conclusion. And this all has to be done in 120 words. not more than that, 120 words only. So they have to be very brief, very clear, clarity, and they have to give all evidence. So all those charts and all those pie charts and graphs and tables and the maps that are given, they have to go through them before writing out their paragraph. So this will take time, and this will take a lot of practice. We have to be doing, 10, 15 analytical passages with them to really drill it into their system, so that once they learn the knack, I think it would be easier doing an analytical paragraph. Why? It would give more marks than rather doing a letter to the, a letter placing an order, or a letter, what's the second one that they have? What the second
Inquiry.
one? Inquiry, yes. So that way. So I think we need to teach it like this. We have to tell them that you have to answer a question. So what is the topic? What is the topic sentence? We have to answer that. Let's break up in our mind. Let's make a little, mind mapping, and let's figure out what is the introduction, what is the body of the language, what is the, the conclusion. Maybe, in a separate webinar, I am sure they'll be generous enough, Goyal Brothers Prakashans. We can do 2 or 3 of the analytical paragraphs over here together, so that we get an idea of how to actually reinforce them to our students. I think that would be much better.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, we will definitely.
Really looking forward to it, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you so much
will
for
do
such
it
a
that way.
knowledgeable discourse. Thanks a ton, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, Himani. And please take care of yourself and get well soon.
Good evening. I've already asked my question in the chat. Will there be no MCQ at all? Because when the circular came from CBSE in the month of, can't remember, July, August, they said that the term 2 would be objective as well as subjective. So what's happening now?
What's happening now, Mr. De Silva, is that, it is mostly, if you go through the sample papers as well, it's focused on the subjective kinds and the short answers. So it's not MCQ. MCQs are not there in the in term 2. As of now, today's date is the 27th of January 2022. As of date, we are not having MCQs. It's going to be totally a subjective paper. So whether they have to write 1-word answers, whether they have to write 1-sentence answers, whether they have to write 30 to 40 word answers, it has to be in those short paragraphs. So it's not MCQ now. There are no MCQs in this. When we do a sample paper together, like I just shared with Himani, that we'll do, perhaps we could do 1 or 2 section paper, sample papers together, and the portions that are a little vague, like the analytical paragraph, we can do that together to give everyone an idea that they're all on the right track. So, and they're not deviating. And so whatever they're sharing with their learners, they're doing it. And when there is a confusion in the mind, we are not able to even, take it forward to our students. So I guess maybe we could have a webinar on that. But as of now, Mr. Roy De Silva, there are no MC. So I think we could arrange, please think about this, where we could discuss the analytical paragraphs so that, clarity can be given, as Himani just now raised this. And maybe we could do 1 sample paper together. If anybody has an idea, please share, and maybe next time we could do something.
Definitely, ma'am. We will come up with this in the coming week.
Yes.
We will, yeah. So I think we are done for the day. We will like to thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your
my pleasure.
informative session. It was indeed a wonderful. Everybody, a lot of appreciations message on the chat box for you.
I did not read the chat box. Let me quickly, before you sort of close the meeting, let me have a look.
I will, yeah, I'll just make.
Looking forward to the writing session. Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Himani. Thank you so much for the appreciation. I am so grateful. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Thank you so much. I know even I find it challenging at times to write based on clues. Okay, so next time, this is another thing that I'll take up, how to write on clues. That's why I want to note. I'll just, can you take screenshots, Jitin, and share them with me? So next time we can do this. So it says that I find it challenging to write based on clues. So maybe something could be shared for this. Web charts, character templates. Yeah, this character templates is a good idea. Analytical paragraph seems to be the challenge over here. Thank you so much, Abhinav ji. Thank you so much for the appreciation. I would really like to thank all of you personally. This is so sweet. My takeaway: push the kids to read. Yes, definitely. They've lost the art of reading. I don't know where it's gone. Gone are the days of taking up a book, flipping through the pages, reading, and reading in a very in a fun way. You actually sort of felt the character as you read it out loud. I think we need to bring that all back. Thank you so much. Thank you. So there are lots of thank yous. I am so overwhelmed with all the thank yous that you have shared. Thank you indeed to everybody.
Yes, ma'am. With this, ma'am, we'll end the program today.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
We'll come up with new sessions, hopefully next week. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Stay blessed, and God bless you all. Keep shining, keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.
Now, subscribe to Bright Duty course at ₹1 per day only. Download Bright Duty app from Play Store and get the online courses prepared by competent and experienced teachers for different education boards of classes 6 to 10. Bright Duty courses are available for the subjects of Math, Science, Social Science, English and Hindi in English and Hindi medium. Bright Duty follows 3-step approach, that is learning, assessment and exam preparation. In learning, topic-wise video lectures with explanation of concepts and discussion of textbook examples and questions are available with the solutions. In assessment, topic-wise online MCQ test, practice assignments and chapter-wise question bank are available with the solutions. In exam preparation, previous year's question papers, sample papers and model test papers are available with the solutions. Sign up today on Bright Tutor and avail your courses at affordable prices.